before understanding any sutra, so you'll come to understand.
You're recording this?
Yeah.
Great.
Patanjali definitely is known as the father of Eastern psychology, and we are happy with it. I know he is a father of Eastern psychology. But what he says about the mind, its nature, its level of purity, what is pure and impure mind, cause of suffering, or what is the silence in the mind, we don't want to study. We are happy when we know he's a father of Eastern psychology. That's all. And we don't want to study and understand what he meant by Kaivalya. He uses the word Kaivalya. And the synonyms are nirvana, awakening,
Turya.
yeah, turiya, and many more words. Question comes, does practice of meditation, mindfulness, without knowledge of the mind succeeds? So every master says that without the right knowledge about the mind, its nature, structure, function, states, we cannot really succeed in mindfulness or meditation. How Buddha succeeded? Are you Buddha? Buddha succeeds, so ask yourself, are you Patanjali? So don't move the mind in a wrong direction. That is very important. We did not succeed. We did not become Buddha. We did not become Patanjali. So what Patanjali says and what principles of Eastern wisdom says we should follow in order to succeed. So the first four sutras of Patanjali summarizes the entire journey of yoga, meditation, mindfulness, awakening, realization, transformation. So let us start with the right knowledge and move to the very first lesson. What do we do in meditation? Why and how? I added this lesson just today in the morning. So just understand for how do I know this is a wall in front of me? What are the factors required? My eyes should be open. That is also one factor, but there should be a light, otherwise, in darkness, I cannot know whether it's a wall or not. I must know the thought process to recognize the wall is a wall. What are the factors to receive knowledge? First thing. So my sense organs should be all right. There should be a proper light. Otherwise, what will happen if the light is very dim? I see the different color of the wall. So I have a wrong perception. Lot of factors. Similarly, question arises to for meditation mindfulness, what are the factors? The knowledge revealed in mindfulness and meditation has four main factors. If I am a real seeker, if I'm a qualified seeker, I know there are four factors. First is I as a seeker. I'm a qualified seeker. Why? Seeking the knowledge of my true nature. that can be attained by the practice of meditation. Second is the instrument. So, here, what is the instrument? The Eastern wisdom as written text that offers the process, method, principles, and the progress by the masters that works as an instrument of knowledge. Third factor, the object of knowledge. What is that object of knowledge? Object of knowledge is my real self, or it is Satchidanand, or it is the non dual self, or it is the highest consciousness. That is the object of knowledge. And what is the result? That I awaken to that knowledge of the reality. I awaken to the true nature. When I awaken to where is your house? So you gave me the address. I traveled a couple of times. Now I know where is your house. So it means that knowledge about your house number and the location is always there in the memory, in my field of awareness. So the mind is constantly reflecting the true nature. Now, the mind is not the master, the real self is the real master. So, four factors. That is the result. Now go little slowly. Now, what the Patanjali, another great master, says, when the first three factors merge together, you reach to that knowledge. Subject, object, and the process between the two. So, what in the possibly in the third chapter, Patanjali says Sanyam. What is Sanyam? So he explains the very process of dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Dharana, the object of meditation, the process of meditation, and the seeker. I can recognize all the three. So now dharana progresses into meditation. So what happens? Tatra pratyekatanata dhyanam. Uninterrupted flow of this seeker or the mind towards the object. They both merge together. So out of the three, only two remains. And in samadhi, all the three merges. So from there, I extracted there are four factors to succeed in meditation or mindfulness. These three factors merge together, and I have the result. I have understood it. Everyone says I have understood. Let us go slowly and understand this part is the most important part. So Patanjali name, and now you see that I have written here that is these three factors merging together is known as the highest state of mindfulness or meditation or samadhi. That is why Patanjali named the first chapter as Samadhi Pada. Pada means chapter, section. Samadhi, section of the Samadhi. Now the challenge comes to our intellect. What is the challenge? I understand. You told me all the three factors merged together. It leads me to the meditative state. Right? Are you in a highest meditative state? No. Why you are not? When you have understood it? So we are challenging our intellect who claims it has understood and still it is not there. I know, I understand. I understand. So seeker does not get the desired result. Why? That is the question. When the intellect claims I understand, I have understood, I know it, but I'm not there. So the master says it is because of problems or defect in any of the first three factors. What is the first factor? Am I a qualified seeker? So I have to look back. I have understood intellectually. I am not there. I have to look at what kind of a seeker I am. Do I really qualify, or have I qualified by becoming a seeker or not? Second, the instrument of knowledge is the Eastern wisdom. No, I listen to you or I listen to other teachers. I have studied lot of books. You have studied lot of books. Very good. So you have understood. Yes. Are you in a meditative state? No. What do you mean by understanding? What do you mean by studying all the books? What do you mean? You have not understood. Because if you have really understood, then you are already there. So, what is required? That is the reason our intellect lacks that clarity. It still has a doubt. When it has a doubt, intellect claims I have understood, and when you stop talking or practicing about meditation, the intellect goes back to what it believes. What it believes? Anxiety, fear, doubt, stress, reaction, and the entire stuff. We go back to the same state again. So it means there is some problem. What is the solution? Constant learning and teaching of the second. Third is object of knowledge is true nature. The true nature is Satchidananda or pure consciousness. So majority of the seekers falls prey to variety of experiences that a seeker undergoes during his journey. So, and there is a lack of teaching from the master. So the master cautions, guides, clarifies the nature of experiences. Why? I'm not searching experiences. Oh, I have out of body experiences. Really? So you cannot return back to the body if you have out of body experiences. We have to give a right interpretation. What do you mean by out of body experiences? All the experiences always happens in the mind through the body. So when you say I have a beautiful experience, out of the body experience is a wrong statement. I'm saying only one thing. Now, what is the catch here? The teacher gives you the right interpretation of your experiences in the meditation, but makes you aware what you are searching. You are searching the experiencer, not the experiences. You are searching the knower, not the known. You are searching the seer, not the seen. Are you getting it? You are searching who I am, not who am I not. I am not my experience. what happens? Intellect, because of the defects, because of the impurity in the mind and the intellect, the mind and the intellect says, I got it based on my experiences, and I do not reach to that state. So let us understand it traditionally. Now, understand it traditionally. What is our true nature is already within all of us. It is here and now. The very result, the object of knowledge, the object of pursuit of meditation is already there within me. And I'm not aware, I don't experience that. It is there in the waking, dream, and the sleep state. We have to contemplate again and again, reflect again and again. I'm in a waking state. Where is that true nature? I have a pain in the body. Where is that true nature? No, I feel extreme pain. Hell with you, I don't want to talk about the real self. It means your mind is so much impure that it is false prey to your experiences. You are not able to separate your experiences from the experiencer. You are not a qualified seeker. I can give you hundreds of examples. So, first thing, when now I did not understand it clearly, still I claim I have understood my true nature. Now, you told me it is always present, it is ever present. It is present in the waking dream and the sleep state. It is present in the pain and the pleasure. And my mind got carried away by small pain. My mind got carried away by the small pleasure, and I forget. I'm gone. Why it happens? Because of the mind and the intellect. It does not happen because of the object of the pleasure outside or object of the pain outside. And I forget. Then what I do? I give an easy solution. Sandal incense sticks. If you burn it every day, you will succeed in meditation. So I buy a costly mat. I fix up the room for meditation. And the members of your family says, "Are you ready for meditation?" Yes, don't make a noise. My mind runs after the external factors and I'm lost. See that? Go back to the first three factors. You will understand. Now, the common problem is to that I don't become a qualified seeker. Why? I don't understand the four connections. I don't follow the fourfold practices. Second problem is the lack of clarity and conviction about the teachings of the master. No teacher is teaching from by creating his own principles. The principles are same, expressed differently, based on the temperament of an individual, and still I don't have clarity. Third problem is to doubt the authority of Eastern wisdom as an instrument of knowledge. So when I doubt, then I say, when I'm learning meditation, I say, I heard about the research studies, it changes the DNA, RNA. Am I DNA and RNA? There is a mutation in the gene. Yes, it is important to understand, to complement the knowledge outside. But I'm not my brain, I'm not my DNA, I'm not my RNA, I'm not my gene. So we have that qualified seeker is extraordinarily aware that it is seeking the true nature. And when you have a doubt, we go back to the secondary knowledge. And that doubt, that fear, that anxiety can only be removed by master in a disciple tradition, constant learning and listening. Maybe the master introduces a different principle to help your mind remove those doubts. Patanjali explains that practice alone cannot help the seeker to succeed. What he says? Abhyas vairagya abhyam tannirodha. So he says regular practice with dispassion. What is dispassion? Applied viveka. Where from the viveka comes from the fourfold practices. Am I qualified? Did I do all the fourfold practices? Did I help my mind to raise its awareness and purify the intellect? No, I'm not. This is what Patanjali is hinting. The mind and the intellect are many. Understand in a different way. Mind and intellect are many. Why? As many people as we have mind and intellect. So the doubts and questions are also many. That is why the Eastern wisdom has more than 3,000 texts that teaches the wisdom differently, even when the principles are the same. It is because these teachings remove doubts raised by the individual mind and intellect. The teacher, master, and a disciple tradition is totally open. Totally open. It validates the importance of this tradition. Now see that the word Atha Yoga Anushashanam, what I have explained just now, all the points are summarized in one word of the first sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasana. So, what Patanjali says, how he says, I'm beginning the journey of yoga for qualified seekers. That is the first chapter. Because Samadhi Pada, Samadhi is the eighth of the eightfold path. So he's talking of the highest journey. See that? I remember great master Shankaracharya. Understand that is also wonderful part. Before picking up the second lesson, so you may be aware the Shankara contributed more than 250 commentaries in the text. He was a great enlightened master in the 8th century. So there were many masters of Buddhism also. One of them was Mandan Mishra. Later on, now see, understand one part. We talk of a modern education system. Debate is a healthy format to increase our intelligence. You see, in debate, what happens? You are in favor, I'm opposite of a particular topic. And I try to give the argument to defeat you, you give the argument to defeat me. So there is a word in our tradition which is known as Shastrartha. Shastrartha. Shastrarth means the essence of the Eastern wisdom, essence of a particular text, essence of a particular principle, which is literally translated as a debate, and we have a totally wrong perception and a conception about two masters debating on a particular principle. So, what does the Shastrat means? Both the masters picked up one principle, and based on their realization, they express their state of realization and the experiences based on a particular text and a principle. Topic is not to go against, favor, in favor, and against. So, what happened? Mandan Mishra was a great Buddhist, and Shankara followed that path of the same Eastern wisdom, and ultimately, Mandan Mishra exceeded the defeat that you have a higher experiences, and now I can understand the journey that you are explaining can take me to the higher level. So he accepted the defeat and he started following Shankara. His name was changed and his name was given Sureshwaracharya.
Sharacharya.
After he reached to that state, Shankara told him to write a text. Write a text. Eh, What? Why you write a text? Explain your experiences, how your mind followed those principles and achieved the highest state. He wrote that. So in that text, he wrote that I'm not writing a text to become famous. I have no motivation outside. I don't want to become a New York bestseller. I'm writing because my master asked me to write. I'm writing because I want to explain the path as easy as possible. I'm writing because what I experienced, that is why I'm writing. And he wrote a couple of the text. One of the text is very higher level of the text is known as Nashkarmya Siddhi. It is such a wonderful text. But once we go through this Patanjali Yoga Sutra, so that is the first lesson. Based on what we have understood, four factors, seeker, so level of the seeker can change. Second factor, the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom is the same, but my understanding is different because of the ignorance in the mind and intellect that causes the doubt and the lack of understanding that also makes me claim I have understood, but I'm not there. And the object of knowledge is the true nature. It is not my experiences. It is not your experiences. Yes, experiences help me to reach to a milestone, but the milestone is not the goal. So that leads us to the second part, second lesson. What is meditation and mindfulness and its method? So based on our understanding from the previous lesson, we are aware the object of meditation is what? My true nature or pure consciousness or Satchidanand. Now I added another word that hides behind the senses, mind, and the intellect. I did not say it in the first lesson. It shines all the time in human life and still remains unknown. Eastern wisdom says, every master says, it is always present. So now, how do we ask the intellect to understand? Wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that discovers the real self. It is like any branch of knowledge that lays down the principle, steps, practices to explore the innermost self. Now, based on that understanding, hold on. I want to earn $1 billion. Is the $1 billion still present within my house? It is hiding, so I have to find it out? No. So that defines, that asks our mind to understand the goal of life versus goal in life. So, what happens in goal of life? The goal of life is the discovery of true nature, which is available all the time. $1 billion is not available. I have to work hard. That is the goal in life. So, goal in life means it demands desire, it demands planning, organizing, it demands gaining our skill set, using that skill set to create that wealth which is outside, gain it, possess it, own it. Possessing and owning. Can I say that by the meditation practice, I possess the real self and true nature? No, it is already, it is available all the time. It is available all the time. It is available all the time. So what happens now? We're going slowly based on the problem when we claim we have understood, but we are not there. When we mix these two goals, what happens? We identify with the things, objects, people outside. And because we identify, the identity crisis begins. Identity crisis begins. And that identity crisis is ignorance. That identity crisis, that identity crisis is what? I identify with the two goals, and because my mind and intellect has been so much heavily conditioned with the objects, world, people outside, the same mind and intellect do not allow me to have a clear understanding, rather it raises the doubt. You say the real self shines all the time, but I have a pain in the body. I don't have a money to buy a thing. I have lot of challenges in my life. That is what the identity crisis is. What is that identity crisis? I do not identify with what is right, who truly I am. So then what happens? We identify by being a husband, wife, son, daughter, teacher, rich, poor, and a long list. That mixture causes the ignorance, and ignorance causes the suffering that prevents me to succeed in any mindfulness or meditation practice, according to the teachings of the Patanjali and other masters. That is why you see Patanjali says in the fourth sutra, declares what Patanjali says, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Did Patanjali say you get out of the body experiences when you absorb into meditation? You see blue color, white color, yellow color. You rise above the common people. He never says anything. He says only one thing, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. You now settle into your essential nature. And I have already explained what is your essential nature. It doesn't talk about those things. It is very clear where he is heading to those who are qualified seekers. I was talking about Shankaracharya, the great master. He wrote one shloki to explain the entire journey of the highest state. What is my true essential nature? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. You can say it is a seer, the knower. Means the result. What is the result of meditation? I awaken to the knowledge of the real self. And that real self is of the nature of Satchidanand, permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. So that is our result. So how the Shankara uh, has written a one verse, four liner in the format of question and answer. So he is asking the question who is already reached to that state for the benefit of the seekers. So you see what he asked, what is knowledge that you receive from the sense organs? So, what is the first question the Shankara asks to his disciple? What is light for you? What makes you see me and the world outside? So, what is the seeker answer? Sun is the light during the day. In order to see you, I need an external source of the light to see you. And the sense organ need an external source, air, water, you know. If they don't, you don't provide the external source, these sense organs are useless. So that is why the seeker is answering, sun is the light during the day and the lamp during the night. Now see that to see the world of objects, to see the wall, to see you, to see the computer screen, I must have a factor of the light. My eyes must be perfect. Otherwise, I have to wear glasses to see you. We need an instrument that is sense organ. For example, the eye, the faculty of seeing, the mind, and the object to be seen. Means it is an indirect knowledge. I'm getting an indirect knowledge about you. I did not produce any light to see you. My mind is moving through the sense organ to see you. That is why in Eastern wisdom, we say it is an indirect knowledge. Indirect knowledge. Paroksha jnana. What is meditation? Meditation is aparoksha. Aparoksha means direct knowledge. So we'll understand. So now there is a second question. Who is the seer? Who is the seer behind these world of objects and people, the things that I recognize? It is my sense organ. It is my sense organ that becomes the seer, that acts as a seer to the world outside. Similarly, all the five sense organs. Now see that. Can I become aware I see the wall, but wall cannot see me? So what is seen can never become a seer. What is known cannot become a knower. What are my experiences cannot become an experiencer. That is the masses. So when the intellect says, I have understood, what is intellect? Intellect is an instrument. And the instrument is acting like is a knower and a seer. I'm already in ignorance. I left out meditation. Anyhow, so the master is asking the second question. How do you see the sun or the lamp? The eyes are the light that sees sun and the lamp. What it means? It means the eyes are acting as a seer, knower of an object of name and the form. So now what happens? I was aware of millions of things in the world outside. The master made me aware of the eyes. Look at this eyes. It is only one eye, one seer can see millions of objects. So the mind has left the world of objects and it has come to the eye as a seer. That journey, if I can understand as a qualified seeker, I need not to practice anything. Now the mind has left all the cravings from the world of objects. Next question. What is the light when you close your eyes? So, what the master is asking? Here, the master wants to know if the disciple understood the word light is used for awareness. I close my eyes. So now the senses are not acting as a seer. Now the mind is aware of all the sense organs. At least it is fully aware of the eyes which is closed. It is not able to see any objects of the world. Oh, so now the mind has intellect has become a seer, and the eyes and all the sense organs are seen when the intellect is a seer. The twin principle of seer and the seen. Where is the principle of the seer and the seen? The seen are many. Seer is only one. We are searching for a seer that never changes. Eyes can change, even though eyes act as a seer, a relative seer, but it also becomes the seen. Hence, the eyes cannot be my true nature. So, we are going back. You see, the world of objects seen with the seer eyes. Now, the second step, all the sense organs are seen by the mind. Mind is the seer, and the sense organs are the seen. Behind the mind, intellect is watching. Oh, I have lot of thoughts. I have bad mood, good mood, crazy thoughts, good thought. Intellect is watching. So, intellect is the seer, mind is the seen. So, even though the mind is acting as a seer, but it is also seen. Behind the mind and the intellect, there is a seer that never changes, everlasting. That is our true nature. That is what Patanjali says. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. I have to contemplate this again and again. Once I understand the principle, and then we need to contemplate. So the intellect is the light, is a movement from the sense to a mental perception. And now, if you go to what is the light for you to see the intellect? Who perceives the intellect? Master says. And the seeker says it is the self that sees the intellect. It is a witness consciousness and a subjective reality. This is right perception, and this is mindfulness, and this is meditation. The journey of meditation has finished. So when I become a qualified seeker, I have a right knowledge of the principles being applied in the journey to succeed the mindfulness, and I'm 100% clear about the object of my journey. Object of my journey is what? Object of my journey is true nature. What is that? True nature is the seer. Look at the Shankaracharya, who is examining the who is examining the testing the person whether you have reached to that state or not. So it is the same thing. The principles here, we can apply the same principle. Vivek Khyati Viplava Hanupaya. What is the method? Patanjali says Vivek Khyati. When the Viveka is settled in the mind, in the intellect, when the Viveka is settled in the mind and the intellect. The mind and the intellect is completely pure and transparent. It reflects the true nature. This is what the Shankara is explaining. So, sometime for some people, it is very easy for people to understand through the principles of seer in the seen, knower in the known. What is seer? Seer is I know you, I am a seer. When I say knows you, knowing is the knowledge, you is an object, so you are an object of knowledge. I know you. So I is the seer, you as a seen. But now I is a seer, I know lot of people. So seer is one, seen are many. Second part, the seen is constantly changing. Seen is constantly. I sit in meditation with eyes closed. My experiences changes. I recognize them and accept them, and I continue the journey until I find something that is never changing identity, a changeless identity that transcends cause and effect. And that gives me awakening. Here I am. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So the master says you are awakened and in the mindfulness state. Thus you are the ultimate light. It is self-luminous. What is self-luminous? It is important. That is also one of the major factor where the mind and intellect creates a doubt and lives in ignorance, even after claiming that I have understood. My master sent me into a dark cave. Go there, find out who is there. So I returned and I said, no one is there. The master shouted at me and asked me, who knows that there is no one there? I know it. It means you were there. How do you claim that no one is there? You were there. Who declared that no one is there in that dark cave? What is the message? Our mind and intellect is totally obsessed with the objective world. So I answered with reference to the objective world that there is no one there. But I could see myself even in the state of darkness. That is what the self luminous is. Self effulgent. That awareness cannot be destroyed. It is always there, and we miss that. And we miss that, we miss the entire journey. So, with that understanding, let us know a little bit of Patanjali, the master of yoga, Ayurveda, and the Sanskrit language. There is a commentary on the Yoga Sutra by a great master and a king known as known by the name Bhoja, King Bhoj. So I'm referring King Bhoja, how he explained Patanjali. King Bhoja, we have to believe the words of King Bhoja. Why? He was a celebrated master, polymath of literature, yoga, meditation, science, and he is regarded as one of the great masters and lived in almost in 10th or 11th century. So before giving a commentary on the Yoga Sutra, he says, understand who is Patanjali. Now why should we understand Patanjali? How he how great he was. It helps our mind to break our wrong notion. That is why we should know. So he was a great master of yoga, that is Yoga Sutra. He wrote a text on Ayurveda, he wrote a text on Sanskrit grammar. Why? Why? So this King Bhoj, the commentator, answers. What he answers? He says, I always salute this great enlightened master Patanjali, who says to remove the impurities of the mind through yoga that aims at inner peace, permanent peace, or to discover your true nature. How to remove the impurities of the speech? Through learning and understanding the grammar of a language. And that is why he wrote a great commentary on a Sanskrit grammar. To remove the impurities of the body through herbal medicine, through Ayurveda. So we have only three levels of impurities if we are a real human being: the body, mind, and the speech. Then he you see that this is a revelation what he wrote. Abahu Purushakaram Shankham Chakrasi Dharinam Sahasra Sirisam Svetam Pranamami Patanjalim. The master, he himself was such a great master who wrote commentary, and he is a celebrated master who is adoring Patanjali. How? Patanjali is a supreme self, rendered into a human form, wearing the conch, the discus, and the sword. decorated with a cobra of 1,000 heads. I pranamami Patanjali. I bow down before Patanjali. I don't. Now, it is also good to understand the these different articles he decorated Patanjali with. So he decorated Patanjali with conch, with discus, with a thousand-petaled cobra or a snake. What he wants to say. So other commentators discuss about it. The conch shell in Eastern wisdom is used as a trumpet in many rituals in India. You are going for a war and you blow the conch. Why? Because you create an auspicious movement to win a war. You want to start a meditation or a pilgrimage. At your home, you pray and then you blow a conch. So the conch is a symbol of prosperity, peace, happiness, wealth, removing impurities in the sins. I used to be scared of the ghost. Now I have become my own ghost, so there is no problem. My father used to say, here is a conch and blow it whenever you have a fear or you feel that the ghost is there. And I felt very good. So this conch also represents five elements. So the daily blowing of a conch is considered that you remove evils from your home. Keeping the conch at a sacred place is associated with prosperity. Also, the female fertility and the inner strength. Why I say female fertility? A herbal medicine is made from the conch, is considered healing for the stomach ailment, and also used to treat the female fertility. It is crushed into a powder and mixed with other herbs for eating. So you see that the conch has a physical significance, has a mental significance, and has a spiritual significance. The journey of meditation in the beginning, in the early stages, you are not yet a seeker. Okay, blow a conch, have a big fragrance aroma, and lot of buy a costly mat which cost you $300 because that will help you succeed in meditation. You have the money, buy. Outer resources, physical level, but purely spiritual level. You said you blow it in the beginning. That drives all the thoughts away. Now, what is the meaning of the discus? Represents the different stages of our evolution. So when you see the Patanjali, he has a discus, he has a conch, and thousand-petaled bird snake. So King Bhoj says, I bow down to this great enlightened master. The discus or a wheel is known as Sudarshan in Sanskrit. So what is Su? Su means good. Do you remember I told you? Sukha. Sukha means happiness. Su is good. Kha is a space. A good space is Sukha. So say same thing. Sudarshan. Darshan means knowledge and perception. So good and the right knowledge, Sudarshan. See that. Patanjali is a guy who leads us to the right and the good knowledge. Now there are six spokes, symbolizes a six-petal lotus. So what happens? We leave yama and niyama. The rest six organs of Ashtanga Yoga represents the six spokes and symbolizes also the six-petaled lotus. The soul, now the sword. What is the meaning of sword? Sword in Sanskrit is known as khadag. Khadag means destroy. That sword represents that you destroy all the impurities of the mind and intellect, and it becomes ready. It is already awakened to, it reflects, oh, this is my real nature I have to achieve. Now compare this with asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurmamritangamaya. Some people will understand the journey with these symbolic things attached to Patanjali. Others will understand simply by asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritangamaya. See, the teachings are the same. And the last one, thousand petal snakes represent timelessness in time. We have a Vishnu. If you see the image of a Vishnu lying on the thousand petal snake in an ocean, so that represents the timelessness in change, projected by the mind as past, present, and the future. So, this is the beauty. That was the nature, that was the personality of a Patanjali. Now, we should also understand, as I explained before, the first sutra, the first word, Sanskrit word, ath representing you are a qualified seeker, you are ready, you are committed, hence ath yoga anushashanam. That is the one meaning of ath. There are multiple meanings of ath. Another meaning of ath is that I am simply presenting the knowledge of yoga from A to Z, which is already present, which has been passed on to me. That is also the meaning of At. At has at least 6 or 7 meanings. So we apply here two meanings. Two meanings. So it means Patanjali is not the originator of yoga? No. So Patanjali has written these sutras. So they are known as Sutrakara, the codifier of yoga, not the originator of yoga. So can I know little bit about this journey of yoga? What are the other texts? Yes. So first group of text is known as complete books. What is complete books? Can you write a complete book on physics? Why? You cannot write it. Why? The principles are constantly changing. Can you write a complete book on Eastern wisdom? Yes. Why? Principles are not changing. The expression of these principles are changing, but as such, the principles do not change. Why? We are searching the real nature, which is never changing identity. We are searching the non dual consciousness. We are searching the center of our existence. That is never changing. So we have a complete book. That complete book is known as Shruti. Shruti, Vedas, Upanishads, select sutras. There is a debate if the Patanjali Yoga Sutra is a Shruti text or a Smriti text. So just understand the Shruti text means I sit in deep meditation, Sureshwaracharya sat in deep meditation and he realized no action can ever lead you succeed into awakening and realization. So his name of his book is Nashkarmya Siddhi. You achieve perfection effortlessly without doing any action. Without doing any action. So he lives at such a higher stage. So Shruti means you sit in that deep meditation, the knowledge is revealed unto you, and whatever is revealed and you have scribed them, that is known as complete books. That includes Vedas, Upanishads, some of the sutras. The second category of the books comes like Patanjali. He says the tradition is continuing. I simply learned that tradition which has been passed from great masters. I practiced, I realized, and what experiences I went through, what principles I applied, I codified into Yoga Sutra. So, like there are great masters who simply wrote the second category of complete, they are also complete books. You cannot, you can simply put them at par with the Shruti books because they have been written by great masters who have reached to the same state as other masters, but they are Smriti books. They have written from their own experiences. But how to understand these two complete books? So the master says Bhashya. Bhashya means commentary on complete books. Shankara was such a great master. He wrote commentaries on hundreds of complete books. Vivekananda was there. Vivekananda wrote his own commentary on Yoga Sutra, on the four classical works. We can take it, but Vivekananda was a great master. So then comes why we are studying this. We must know who is the great commentator on Yoga Sutra, so that it will help me open the Jifai each in each word to understand what Patanjali meant by a particular Yoga Sutra. It is known as Bhasya, commentary, or the commentaries on complete books opens to us the knowledge in a simple and easy manner. So, like Vyasa is one commentator of Yoga Sutra, then Vijnana Bhikshu is another commentator, Bhoj is the third commentator. We have more than 32 commentaries on Yoga Sutras by great masters. So, we restrict our understanding to three: Bhoj, Vyasa, and Vachaspati Mishra, and Vijnan Bhikshu sometime. So now the Sutra. Sutra means compressed file, and Sutrakara means who has written a sutra. It means the Patanjali is a codifier of yoga, not a originator of yoga. Now, what happens? That is the beauty of this journey. I'm a fool guy. I start the journey of yoga. I have understood that I cannot understand the sutra. And now in the Eastern wisdom, I have understood that the Vyasa is a commentator of Yoga Sutra. I study it, but I don't understand. I realize that my questions are left. So, what happens? There are great masters who have written critical commentary on the commentaries of Yoga Sutra. What is the critical commentary? They are known as Vartika. What is that critical commentary? The goal of the critical commentary is to inquire into what has been said by the commentator and what has not been said by the commentator, and how to say it clearly. commentator, and then the critical commentator. So Vijnana Bhikshu was a great master who wrote a critical commentary on the commentary of the Vedas. So now that everything becomes clear, they both at least move in a same line of thoughts. They explain you the same principles. They remove all your doubts. Now the clarity is there. You cannot get the right knowledge of Yoga Sutra by studying and reading the New York bestsellers. It will not work. And it has never worked. Then we have discussed before. Now I have understood the complete book Shruti. I have understood the Smriti group of texts. I have understood the Sutra. I have understood I have to study the commentator. I have to study also the critical commentator. But where to start the journey? The start To start the journey, I have foundational text. I must understand the terminology. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. What is the meaning of the swarupa? What is the meaning of essential nature? What it is known as? So I must have a clear understanding of those terms used in the Eastern wisdom as an instrument of knowledge. So there comes Prakaran Grantha. We should study couple of these texts under the supervision of a teacher, not only to become a qualified seeker, but also have a clarity of the first four factors that we have explained in the beginning. It is also interesting to know the meaning of the word Patanjali. The word Patanjali, meaning hands falling down in namaste or respect or adoration for a great and enlightened person. Sometimes we are overwhelmed out of joy. What a great teacher you are. So in those days, the hands are falling down in namaste mudra, in adoration. What a great genius you are. So that is why his name was Patanjali. There are other stories attached to it. So we should not go into uh, uh, those stories. That is not the topic. Now, what is why to study and learn Yoga Sutra from the commentaries by the great masters? Why go to school to study science? We can get all information from the World Wide Web, from the Google. When we read elementary science, understand it does not mean science is elementary, but the student studying is in an elementary stage. Science remains one, but material for the study depends on the age level of a student. So we have to start from the basics. The basics is not given in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. He simply said, At, I'm teaching to those who are qualified seekers, who have undergone four connections, who have undergone fourfold practices, who understands the purport of this journey, who understands how to remain relaxed when you are treating the path, what it means by sense perception, mental perception, what it means by viveka, how to apply viveka in daily life, and ultimately you have reached to the stage of becoming a qualified seeker. Patanjali has not explained this, but he has explained by the word "uh," because he is explaining the highest, the eighth, highest in the ladder, the highest limb, that is samadhi, the highest state of meditation. So, therefore, we need to study the basic text and how the master helps you by the principles, teaching these principles again and again. It helps you to how to engage your mind, how to educate your mind, how to empower your mind, how to evolve your mind, how to enlighten the mind by invoking the principles required at your level. Look at the Patanjali. Patanjali simply says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And in other Upanishads, you find Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So path appears different based on the temperament of the individual. Temperament of the individual. So the master clarifies here the manuals of Eastern wisdom means the text is different from the manuals of the science. In those days, um, three out of the four ashram, we say brahmacharya ashram, the life of a celebrity, celibate, then life of a householder, then life of a renunciate, and ultimately the life of a mumuksha, the seeker. So the first three level pertains to the objective world. So in those days, they never used the word science, but they used the objective word. So the manuals of the objective world is different from the manuals of the Eastern wisdom. When you are a seeker, your goal is to discover the subjective reality. Manuals of this science is to find the object thing in a person in the objective world. I have a wonderful, very good friend of mine who is now a great technocrat. We were quite young at the age of 22, 23. So we used to have an evening walk. So he says, I have written 20 criterias to find the soulmate. And he was constantly working because he's a technocrat, so he has to work with those reasoning. She should have this, she should have this. Anyhow, so he found all the 20 criterias and he omitted other criterias which are very harmful to him. Anyhow, they became soulmate, they got married, and from India they immigrated to Europe. They spent couple of years, and after couple of years, one day I saw him in his house because his house was very near to mine. What happened? So later on, he told me the story that he was thrown out of his house by his wife having those 20 criterias. Now he is remarried, so he's couple of kids, and he is enjoying his life. He forgot that. Manuals of Eastern wisdom. We have to find out the manuals of Eastern wisdom. He was talking to me last week. So I did not, I thought in my mind, no, 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 I should not remind him. He started talking of the same thing about his daughter. I said, stop this. Let your daughter find her soulmate. Give you the ideas, you support. You don't decide. So we should be very clear. The manuals of the Eastern wisdom is the approach towards self discovery. The manuals of the science or the objective world is the understanding and discovery of others. And you may discover others, still, you cannot know others until you know yourself. So, that is very important to understand. So, listening from a teacher is a personalized education for the seeker. So, you read it and you correct it. Many commentators of original text. That is very important. That we normally say that entire Eastern wisdom have six organs, means six independent organs, even though every text or philosophy and the principles are interconnected in one or the other way. So there is a six organs which is known as orthodox, and there is a unorthodox. There is a four division. So in unorthodox we have Charvak, we have Buddhism, Jainism. Buddhism, Jainism, because they believe our masters, while dividing the entire Eastern wisdom text, they said the unorthodox system means who do not believe the authority of the Vedas, Upanishads, Yoga. Even though the unorthodox system of Buddhism, Jainism have all the principles common, except they don't believe the authority of a God as explained by the orthodox system. So we have four: Charvak, Ajivika, Buddhism, Jainism. So someday we will talk about it. Now going to the sixth orthodox system. The first orthodox system I have mentioned is the Yoga Sutra, and the commentator is the Vyasa. That is what we are studying. And the second is the Sankhya Yoga. You have heard the word Sankhya Yoga, which is an independent text. It is known as Sankhya Yoga, written by Kapila. I have already referred Kapila a couple of times, who says, well, he says, Dhyanam nirvishayam manaha, the mind that is devoid of contents is real mindfulness. The Buddha, who says effortlessness and nothingness, Buddha praised, appreciated Kapila, the master Kapila, many a times in his text. Oh, Kapila knew what the mindfulness is. And Kapila lived more than 3,000 years before Buddha was born. So, when we talk of five elements, the moment you talk of these five elements, it comes from the Sankhya Yoga. So, what happens? The Patanjali borrowed some of the principles of Sankhya Yoga into the Yoga Sutra. It is not pleasurism. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with when you become a New York bestseller, when you write a research paper. Every master interchanges, they borrow the principles freely. Why? Eastern wisdom is one tradition. Is one tradition. So there is a third organ of this. It is known as Vaisheshika Sutra. It is also a sutra. Now, what he says, have you heard something about it? Not at a very lower level. Eckhart Tolle, that is a very at a lower level. So Vaisheshik Sutra, written by great master Kanad, explains that you can reach to enlightenment by total understanding of the world of experience outside and inside. So he follows a very systematic inquiry into every experience as an individual experience, as a bigger being. Then comes the fourth organ is known as Nyaya Sutra. Nyaya means how to put the right logic to remove all the doubts from the mind and intellect so that you always succeed into the journey of self discovery. It's a very exhaustive journey of understanding how the mind and intellect puts the logic, how it is asking the question, how it is asking the question about the self, what is the answer. Once you give the answer, then you have five questions on that answer. So gradually, what happens? You reach to a supra intellectual understanding. What is supra? The intellect says it is enough. Now I'm not going to ask any question. So there is no thought in the mind, and I can easily sit and practice meditation. So that is known as the Nyaya Sutra. Then there is the Purv Sutra. Have you heard about many karma rituals? We went last year to Haridwar and we performed lot of rituals. So those rituals are part of this organ, this system known as Purv where lot of stuff is there. Oh, keep the conch in your house, sit in meditation in this direction. So all those stuff is written here. Patanjali did not mention it. Why? That is a higher journey. When you begin the journey, okay, at least I have to give direction to your mind. You do not want to understand it, and still you want to learn. Oh, wake up 90 minutes before the sunrise in a Brahm Muhurta. That is an auspicious moment. You will be rewarded, and you start waking up early. No, face to the east. Take this bead. Do 10 malas. So all these ritual performance or practices are very much organized and written in this organ. And the last one is Uttar Mimansa. Uttar Mimansa means a highly, you should have a clarity, intellectual understanding. So it is known as the path of knowledge, the Jnana Yoga. So all the Upanishads, the major Upanishads comes under this category. So you see that you have six organs. They are interconnected, interrelated. We exchange these principles from masters have exchanged these principles where it fits and to complete the text out of total freedom because nobody owns it. They are authorless books. That is the beauty. It has nothing to do with the what you say pleasurism. Yes, it has nothing to do with pleasurism because we talk of common principles. In the objective world, you claim that you have created new principles, marketing technique. Listen to me 5 minutes and pay me $300 and I'll make you a millionaire. So it is not the journey of becoming a millionaire. So they easily share these principles from the one to the other. And they expressed it differently. Why? That was their experience, but ultimately they reached to the same state. Now, the eighth point, 4 chapters on freedom from the mind. You see that? So I titled this lesson as a 4 chapters on the freedom from the mind. So the main objective is freedom from the mind, not freedom for the mind. There's a difference. Freedom for the mind. I have understood. I know it. I have done it. So this is I'm seeking freedom for the mind. The ego is already there. It returns. How I can get awakening? It is a wrong statement. This I can never get an awakening. I'm already awakened when there is a freedom from I. How I can get an awakening? No way. Not possible. That is why I said freedom from the mind. The first chapter is for the highly qualified seeker. That is why he said Samadhi Pada. See that? Samadhi is the eighth. I'm just giving you a lot of thoughts. And next time I may give you some other thoughts. So we can easily tell our mind and convince our mind, yes, I know about eight-limbed path, but now he's talking directly of the Samadhi. So it means I have to be qualified to that level. How easy to pick up? The second chapter is Sadhana Pada. Sadhana. Sadhana means practice. Now I understand the four factors. And what are those four factors which is causing a trouble, an impurity, and a defect in me? How to get rid of it? So one journey, I'm the from the highest, I'm a middle level of the seeker. I follow the Kriya Yoga. He says it is yoga. Tapa Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. He says it is yoga. And he directly says, when you practice Kriya Yoga, what happens? Samadhi Bhavanarth Klesh Tarunarthascha. You minimize the suffering in your life day by day by practicing the Kriya Yoga, and you succeed in Samadhi. So Patanjali is focused. Whether I am focused or not, he is focused. He is very clear. Instantly in the second sutra, after the Kriya Yoga, the result of Kriya Yoga, to reach progressively into a state of Samadhi and minimize the suffering. Okay, I do not understand. Then start with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan. Ultimately, you have to move into same Samadhi. See that? Same Samadhi. Now, the third chapter is a wonderful chapter. Why? How many experiences Patanjali has undergone when he treated the path of yoga, and how to save yourself, not to get carried away by those experiences, because your journey is to find the experiencer. One. Second is, whenever you get those experiences, do not get scared. Recognize and accept it. If it happens in you, if it doesn't happen, that too is okay. So, possibilities of these experiences if you follow this path. What is left now? How should I get 100% knowledge when awakening has taken place? Now, what does that means? Awakening has taken place. Should I live this life or not? Should I live the outer life? How? When? Where? So he answers in the fourth chapter pertaining to moksha, pertaining to awakening, pertaining to kavalya. I will study the fourth chapter first. Okay, study it. So I have following experiences in my life. I have not followed that path. That is the problem of modern mind. We already understood the sutra. Normally, sutra is a thread, and we have three or more layers which is twisted. Twisted. That is what the sutra or the thread is. So, first meaning of the sutra is that one sutra is connected to the second, second is connected to the third, third is connected to the fourth. No sutra is independent. That is the entire journey of yoga, mindfulness, meditation. That is one meaning. Sutra. Second meaning, it is a GIF file, compressed file. I have to open it by studying under a teacher, but that teacher must teach you through the knowledge coming from the commentators of the Yoga Sutra. You know, once you reach to a certain stage in this journey, you are always free. What I have to teach, I don't know. So when you start teaching, you refer these teachers and teach it. Finished. Knowledge is not yours. It has come from the tradition. So you are always free. That is the beauty. But one has to reach, one has to study, one has to contemplate. And once you reach there, oh, you know, this is the principle you can apply here. Seeker should study the basic text before studying the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. For example, popular notion of yoga is a union of individual and what we say individual and supreme consciousness. Sir, I have a question. Is the individual consciousness is not united with the supreme consciousness? Tell me first. If it is not united, then I can think of uniting it. Then I will say that it is a union. Now tell me, where is the locus of individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness? The answer is both are inside. So why the hell they are not united? Why I have to waste my own time to unite them? If we don't ask those questions and we say it is the union of prana and apana, in Hatha Yoga we say Yopana prana yorekyam swarajo retsos tatha surya chandramasori yogo jivatma paramatmanu. So where he says in Jabal Darshan Upanishad, yoga is the union of prana and apana, yoga is the union of surya and chandra, yoga is the union of individual and the supreme consciousness. Oh, now I have understood what the yoga is. And I have missed the third line. Evam tu dvandajalasya sanyogo yogatyakto. This wrong perception of the union between the two has to be dropped. Evam tu dvandajalasya sanyogo yogatyakto. So we have a popular notion of yoga and we have a right notion of yoga. So that would come from the basic understanding and learning the basic text from the teachers yoga. So second meaning, the commentator Vyasa defines yoga in the very first sutra. What he says, yoga samadhi. Yoga is the highest state of mindfulness. But my mind is already heavily conditioned. Yoga is a union. Then I brand you as a crazy guy. You don't understand yoga. I only understand yoga because now I'm scared. I have been teaching for 40 years. Yoga is a union. How can I leave it? I'm scared. I'm not ready to drop it. My wrong notion. So I leave you. Yoga Samadhi. See that? Yoga Samadhi. So the first chapter is on mindfulness or samadhi. So when we start understanding the four factors, first factor, seeker. Second factor, the knowledge coming from the Eastern wisdom. Third factor is the what is the object of knowledge? Is my real self. Where is the real self? It is within me. It shines all the time, but I don't know. No, I have understood. I agree with you for a mind. For a while that true nature is inside me. I have understood. So when I make a statement, I have understood, but I'm not there. Where lies the problem? The problem lies outside or inside? The problem lies in the mind and the intellect. It has some doubt. Even if it understands it's okay, still it says, no, I'm not there. See that? Based on that, Patanjali writes after the four sutras, he says, now if you study fourth sutra, in a non-meditative state, the mind is constantly bombarded by the thoughts. Then Master says, Patanjali, let me classify. You have millions of thoughts, so let me classify into five categories of objective states of the mind. Oh, now you start realizing and understanding. So, what Patanjali says, all these five categories are either painful or not painful. I found a soulmate, non painful. After a few years, it is painful. So, he is explaining very practically. We understand it theoretically. Why? Because the same intellect is not ready to accept. Why it is not ready to accept is the problem of the intellect in the mind. How to get rid of that? Learning, listening again and again through different ways. That clarity comes from these sutras. That is why we have a master and a disciple tradition. So that is why we say what we say, learning, listening, and learning the principles. My father was a scholar, so I used to study those Sanskrit, even though I'm not very well versed with the Sanskrit language. So, studying the Upanishads, chanting of the mantras, it was very common. And when my master used to teach those sutras, I used to interfere in always. First 2 years, he tolerated me. And one day he called me, he patted, and he said, do you know that I teach you what is not written in these texts? What? These texts are in the form of sutras. Can you open these sutras? No. I can open those sutras because I have practiced, I have experienced, I have reached to that stage. So that is not written in what you have studied. So first you have to learn the principle. Ask the mind, do you really know it? No, I don't know it. So let me know it. Do I understand? No, I don't understand. So understand by listening to the teacher, then going home, repeating, contemplating. You start thinking on its own. You have a lot of doubts. You keep those questions in mind, and then you ask those questions again so that the intellect says, now it is done. I have no doubt. Third step comes when the intellect has no doubt about your home address. Is my mind constantly thinking, where is your location of the address? What is that? No. It simply drives, the intellect inspires you to practice, to experience, to reach to that state.